good amount of long-range engage, though. And that's a Pantheon as the final lock in here. We have no traditional supports locked in. I think that's the Pantheon for LvMao.
It is. It is going to be the Pantheon for LvMao. We have actually seen ppgod play a little bit of this Pantheon in the bottom lane. It's very much about trying to get out of lane and get involved in that mid lane matchup where you can use the ultimate, join in with Kanavi as he goes towards those ganks, and use that ultimate from the Pantheon to have super high map pressure.
Okay, they are going to swap around.
Yeah.
LoKen was holding that Camille a little bit too long for me. I was getting a little bit nervous. It is going to be JDG with the Camille up in the top side that they picked blind in that top lane. I'm really curious what Zoom has up his sleeves to that pick, but the Pantheon support as well from LvMao. JDG with a game in hand, really pulling out all the stops here.
And this is where I want to see what JD are capable of doing here. This is very much a, hey, we want to go towards this 1-3-1. We think that we are stronger when it comes towards map play, which I don't disagree with them with after that last game. They were definitely the ones consistently trading up when it came to towers, when it came to objectives, and once again, they want to try and make that happen. However, you need time here for JDG. They want the Camille to scale to those 2-3 items. Same when it comes towards this Ekko, even to a certain extent towards the likes of the Senna. So when we get towards those mid-game fights where you're looking at 1 to 2 item spikes and the little bit less expensive items for the likes of LvMao and Mole, that's when V5 are going to be strong.
I'm keeping my eyes on this jungle matchup once again, though. Weiwei against Kanavi as we head into game 2.
JDG 加油 ！JDG 加油！勇者无畏，愈战愈强。
Great to see some of the LCK
Yeah.
players as well representing for JDG. I guess that's a respect thing after JDG did so well internationally as well. But I'm excited now as we get into game number 2 because this draft got real spicy, Dagda. JDG are 1-0 up, and apparently that means that they can kick back and bring out some of the craziness in game 2.
And we'll have to see if that's what they're capable of going for here. Because as we talked about, look, JDG, what they're trying to do is get Yagao ahead, get Zoom ahead, take over in this 1-3-1 style. And the best way for them to do that is have Kanavi play towards this top side of the map. But honestly, when you've got LvMao on this Pantheon, he becomes another factor in that play, especially as he gets towards that level 6 mark, where he can man drop all over the place, try and set up plays towards Zoom, towards Yagao, and get these 2 split pushers ahead. Or even at level 1, apparently.
Look at this from LvMao. He wants to make plays. There goes Mole's flash. That is such a great play immediately out of LvMao.
Exactly, and he's doing this all while LoKen's actually helping get with this leash towards Kanavi. So it's not like he's missing out anything. They are going to have a super hard push from LvMao and ppgod in this bottom lane, though, and LvMao actually might have to take the long way around.
No, he's a Pantheon. He's quite happy to just run at ppgod, apparently. LoKen here to back him up as well. LvMao taking a lot of damage from this one, but focusing the damage on towards LvMao, LoKen is able to actually grab himself a couple of souls off the back of that.
Yeah, sometimes the scenic route is a bit better for LvMao, but it does take a bit of damage. We'll be able to heal up off the pot. LoKen does get some traded damage, but when you look at JDG's bot lane, they can actually start to heal up. Of course, you've got the Senna there who can help heal.
LvMao did his scenic route stack to back on Mount Targon. He's done with scenic routes now. He's just looking to brawl. And you know what, off the back of that, like, sure, they don't get level 2, but that was never going to happen anyway, so I think it was fine. Get yourself a couple of souls, why not?
And this is going to be very much a LvMao and ppgod type game, because we've got both of them on these supports that want to get out and roam. Especially as we talked about in our opening desk, is ppgod, when he's on this Bard, likes to work with Weiwei to go for these plays where he's roaming around the map and trying to influence towards this top lane, which definitely needs a little bit of help right now.
Biubiu already really struggling up on that top side. I can't say I'm an expert in Camille against Mordekaiser, but it does not look good for the big metal man.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see that it was the Mordekaiser that they went. It does get a little bit easier as you start to get towards like the level 6 and stuff, but definitely not a direct answer towards the Camille. However, here we go.
Kanavi on this Lee Sin, but he gets denied on the kick, has to slide out of the play. Yagao gets a slow onto both members of V5. Kanavi, read like a book, though, by Mole.
Yeah, really good job. That means that, hey, look, Kanavi will be taking a little bit low, but Weiwei can continue to shove in this wave. Clear at the moment. He's just trying to help Mole shove in this wave so he can get it back, come back into the lane, although the stun.
Oh, they're straight onto Yagao, forcing his flash, but it's going to be followed! And Weiwei grabs himself first blood.
Massive mistake from Yagao, not respecting that stun from Mole, and is able to take down the JDG mid laner. Now Kanavi trying to see if he can answer for a play on top side.
He'd love to answer, but Weiwei's coming along as well, and Kanavi realizes this is not a fight that he can win. Now a TP coming through from Mole as well. Suddenly JDG are in trouble. Weiwei doesn't have his flash, but he's gonna force the flash out of Zoom anyway. Nice play so far from V5.
Yeah, they're trying to get aggressive. They're trying to make sure that they're the ones getting onto the good footing in this game. And so far, Mole has done an excellent job of doing just that. We'll lose some of these creeps to that mid lane wave, though, because he did TP top. Yagao just trying to play keep away here and make sure that he can stop Mole from getting in. But this stun, fantastic from Mole. And a bit of disrespect from Yagao, not realizing, hey, look, there's just enough mana in the tank for him to set that play up.
Beautiful stuff here from the mid laner in Mole, and it's important as well because we talked about this matchup in game number 1. If Ekko can get ahead, it's exceptionally difficult for Syndra, but the same goes the other way around.
Exactly, and with Mole now firmly in control of this mid lane, it becomes a lot easier for V5 to turn towards these dragons, start setting up for objectives, and that is why it's so strong now for V5 that you can have Weiwei go through, start clearing out this bottom side, move over towards this dragon, try and use the pressure that Mole is now creating in the mid lane. And you can see Kanavi, he's trying to turn that around, because right now, he's trying to make sure that he's sitting here, working with Yagao, even to a certain extent LvMao right now as well.
LvMao moving to the mid lane once again. I love watching LvMao, man. He's such a creative support player. Mole gonna get stunned up here as they're trying to finish off the all-in ignite. Is ticking away, and LvMao grabs the kill.
And that's what we wanted to see from LvMao, getting out of this lane, getting this impact known nice and early, gets that turnaround kill for Yagao. Does go the way of the support, which does kind of suck, but look at the amount of CS, experience, and gold that's being lost to this tower now for Mole.
LvMao gonna start off the scuttle crab as well for Kanavi. And you know, we've seen this Pantheon support a little bit, not even just here, and it's been to mixed success, and sometimes we've been pretty unimpressed by it, but LvMao clearly has this game plan under wraps.
And we've seen it from his opponents here. We've seen ppgod play this, and he wasn't able to get out and get aggressive in those early stages, and then he just started to fall off super hard, super aggressively. LvMao, though, is not willing to let that happen. He's the one making these plays happen, and successfully, which means he's actually keeping up when it comes to those levels, and will hit that level 6 point and can make this play just ramp up even more so.
So let's talk win conditions then, because we've got pretty different compositions, especially with this Pantheon coming on in. Although Weiwei, I don't think he's going to let us have a conversation right here, Dagda. He wants to go for a tower dive. He's level 6 on the Volibear, which means can be that Stormbringer. He can get under this tower, disable that objective. Kanavi's just realized something's up because the Krugs aren't there. Weiwei going to sprint out of the play because Yagao is heading him off as well. This is going to turn into a 3v2 at this rate. Biubiu going to be hammered away on by Yagao to start this playoff. Kanavi comes in as well and is brought straight into the death realm. That's not a 1v1 that Kanavi can win. Might have to use his kick, but actually just dodging away from the hammer blows. Mole's arrived as well. Stun across the whole team. Look at that out of Mole. It's going to be traded. 1-for-1. No, Biubiu survives somehow. Zoom barely gets out with his life. And now Yagao has to chrono break back, but he's in a 2 versus 1. He gets a stun, but phase dive onto the minions somehow. It's a 1-for-1.
And they can't get the slow, they can't get the kill. There's the stun.
Okay, Weiwei's not interested.
No, they can't manage it. Yagao manages to outplay that so well. So Kanavi does fall, but also Biubiu goes down. So it's a 1-for-1 trade. And when all said and done, getting some of this gold back onto Yagao, being able to answer for these early plays of V5 is a big win for JDG.
JDG managing to answer once again. This time, though, they're not getting advantages out of these early plays like they did in game number 1.
But the thing is, this is what we were trying to bring up before that shenanigans happened up there, is that JDG, they're the ones that are looking to scale. They're the ones that have this Camille that's going to pop off in a side lane when she gets to those 3 to 4 items. Same with Yagao, who can have control in the side lane when he gets to his item break points, where he's got the likes of Hextech Protocol, where he's got those Lich Banes, where he's picked up more items. So when we look towards who needs to make plays happen early, it is V5 that have that burden to get this gold lead rolling. Start working with Sam D and ppgod, especially towards these dragons that we still haven't seen one taken by 8.5 minutes.
Yep, Dragon not been taken just yet, and now Herald is on the map as well. So if someone does commit to that Dragon, it's very likely that we just have a trade of objectives. But then again, with these two teams, Dagda, it's always possible that we do just see a big old brawl, because based on the gameplay so far in this series, nobody's letting their opponent away with anything.
But we have seen both, well, at least JDG certainly put some pressure towards those objectives. Kanavi, while all this brawling, this fighting was going on, Kanavi was still picking up early dragons, was still getting Rift Heralds, was still making sure that that ticking time bomb that is that Dragon Soul is available for JDG. This time around, though, we're not seeing that. Instead, LvMao is trying to make sure that he can use this Pantheon, get these roaming plays happen, and then try and use the pressure from that Pantheon ultimate to make picks and then turn into objectives.
So we are going to see LoKen in this bottom lane. That first turret plate does go down, but there was no one to collect the gold, so it's just going to be given over to the minions. They get themselves a Brucey little bonus for Christmas. Very nicely done from them. I'm sure it's Christmas somewhere. I know it's August, but you know, you got to hope, haven't you, Dagda? Biubiu going to pull Zoom into the Death Realm. I don't know if he wins that 1v1 though. This is a Camille we're talking about right here. It's pretty even so far. But Zoom's going to look to dodge everything. Dawning Shadow across the team. Flashes on out, but he gets taken down. LvMao's arrived a little too late to the play. He will be slowed. ppgod's here as well. Tempered Fate available if they need to disable the tower. Doesn't look like they're going to need to right now, though. Great Scatter the Weak stops Yagao getting into the play, and immediately Yagao just bursts down, jump over the wall. Tempered Fate goes wide, but it's another kill for V5.
Again, V5 are ramping up the pressure here, though. They're the ones that get the pick, and they get to turn this in towards the Rift Herald. And it's beautiful from V5 in being able to get so many plays out from JDG, so many cooldowns, like that ultimate from LvMao. That is critical for them in trying to make this Pantheon pick work early.
Army wants to contest for this one. I'm not sure that was a good idea, though. Will get himself out with a war jump. In they go. LvMao flashes to make the play. Teleport being channeled as well by Yagao. Can they make it into anything, though? Dragon is available right now. Maybe that's the play for JDG.
It looks like they're actually just going to try and turn this into turret plates on the top side. You have a wave that's pushing in. You have LoKen and LvMao moving up there as well. So Dragon plus some plates. Not the end of the world. At least we'll get some of that gold back in their favor that has been lost to V5.
That's going to be the most important thing. You've got to get at least 2 plates for that to be worthwhile when we're talking about that Herald being taken. But on top of that, there was a couple of kills taken for the side of V5. So when it comes to that gold lead, they are slowly but surely starting to build it up for themselves.
I do want to look back at this Dragon, though, because the reason I was trying to point it out was that the fact it's been taken so late means that now our Dragon Soul play is pushed far into the future.
What?
Is there even a
There's
what?
no wall.
Okay, fair enough. But Zoom, you got to run, buddy.
Yeah, Weiwei going to get in onto Zoom here. I don't think they can turn that into anything. What is going on right now? Where were these walls that ppgod is hitting?
Look, I want to go back to this Dragon point, though, because now that Dragon Soul is going to be so much further down the line, because our first Dragon was taken at 10 minutes, well, then you don't have to worry about fighting for some of these earlier ones, especially on JDG's side, because you're the one with that first Dragon. You've now got 3 dragons that can go the way of V5 before you actually have to worry about it. So 15 minutes into the future, or well, 20 minutes realistically by the time you end up fighting for them. So you're now looking at that 30-minute mark by the time that JDG have to fight, which is when they should have Zoom at a really strong point. Yagao should have a bunch of items, and even LoKen will have picked up a bunch of souls for himself.
Yeah, he'll grab a bunch of souls. He'll also start to get those items online. As you can see, already gone for that Mana Moon, so that'll be stacked well and truly by the time we get to any kind of Dragon Soul shenanigans. And you'd expect him to go with things like the Black Cleaver in this build as well. On the other side, though, Sam D on this Ashe. He's got himself that Cutlass. He'll be heading towards the Blade of the Rune King. Once he does get to 2-3 items, when they can force fights with the Crystalline Arrow, you'd expect that is when V5 are going to be able to force some of these issues.
The thing is, though, that because of all these early movements in the game, Mole has found himself at a CS deficit, so he's a little bit slowed down. Sam D, not quite in the same position. He's okay. He's steadily working up towards that Blade of the Rune King. But the key carries for V5 are actually not the ones that are ahead in the GOAT.
Well, we mentioned that Rift Herald that was already taken with a Demolish coming in as well. They're going to be able to grab at least a couple of plates here in the mid lane. I thought they were going to be able to commit a little bit harder, but good job by Yagao and Kanavi to defend this tower. It's going to be 3 plates taken in the end. Maybe a 4th, but LvMao threatening off to the side means that V5 have to back away from the play.
V5 is not trying to force that tower to be taken. They just want to make sure they get the turret plates off of the Rift Herald. So they do split it between multiple members, so it's not like it's going to be one person very far accelerated, but at least they are still getting some of these turret plates back in there.
So let's kind of revisit something we started the day off talking about here, Dagda, and that was the not win condition in terms of the compositions here, but the general win condition for V5. It's been playing through the bottom lane, and it's when they're ahead at 15, they've got an 85% win rate. At what point do we see them really put their foot down? Are they able to just brute force some kind of win here? Because they do have themselves a small gold lead. Hang on, Mole in a 1v1. He's going to be able to get away. They do have themselves a small gold lead as we head towards the 15-minute mark.
But the best way I would have said for them to try and force these plays was through dragons, is through objectives. But because that dragon wasn't taken by V5, well, now JDG don't have to try and fight at these early dragons. Same when it comes towards these Rift Herald plays. You're actually okay as JDG is just conceding some of these towers and making sure that you at least slow the game down. You're not giving a bunch of gold over to V5. So V5 need to make plays like this, where they're trying to force dives, they're trying to push out these waves and use the small gold lead that they have to go for dives, get turrets, and accelerate the game back.
So less about the neutrals, much more about just trying to find that standing goal. Great kick through, but it's actually Yagao not really able to follow up too much. Chrono Break to dodge damage out of the Syndra. Weiwei now suddenly caught, but there's a great tempered fate from the ppgod himself. Now they turn it around onto LvMao. The PP Father, Son, and Holy Spirit saving the day, but suddenly it's turned around once again. Yagao and Kanavi managed to answer with a kill onto Weiwei.
Too far forward. Weiwei just tried to, well, bounce off of the high, bounce off of what ppgod had just created, but unfortunately for him, goes underneath the tower, the stun turns around, and it means that it's again a 1-for-1 trade, and oh, it's not quite getting over the line here for V5. They're trying to make these picks happen, but JDG are answering really well.
So let's take another look at what on earth happened here. Because it was a great, it looked really nice from Kanavi at very least.
There's no follow-up here from Yagao. I mean, what do you try and do here? You're the one that's actually running away. You've now had the Syndra kicked into you who could potentially turn for a bunch of burst damage. Yagao has to piece out using his ultimate, and there, that's the mistake. Weiwei, you've already been ignited. You know there's a heap of burst damage can come through from an Ekko and Kanavi as well when you're on low health. Tower in the mid lane, though, trying to go down.
Yeah, Biubiu should be able to finish this one off. Pulling them in! Look at Mole's damage! That is absurd! Now into the death throne they go. Yagao just going to be trying to hide underneath this tower. Biubiu realizes he can't go for the solo dive.
I think Yagao is happy with that. It's like, get me away from the bad lady. Because that damage from Mole, now having that Luden's Echo completed, you can see that burst damage has come through. He's 700 gold of anyone else in this game, and that is where that damage is coming from.
That was insane out of Mole, and this is what we've been talking about. Mole, when you compare this guy from spring to summer, it is a night and day difference. Mole is the only remaining member from that spring roster that could not get a single series win the entire split, but he is a whole different man in summer. He's looking like a monster, especially on the Syndra.
So Sam D is positioned in this bottom lane. This is why V5 have to back away. You can have the TP from Yagao come in to force this fight. So as LoKen starts to join in, now we can see JDG taking a step back. But again, they're happy to go for these trades. If they are just forcing V5 back, great. Yagao can get this bot lane turret. We've already taken that top lane structure with Zoom, and they're the 2 towers that JDG want to take down because they're playing split push. They're the 2 most important towers, and they can use this side lane pressure to collapse on towards mid and try and force that next tower down for themselves as well.
So now correct call here from V5 to basically say, look, if you're going to try and split push, we're going to force the issue and try and grab this objective for themselves. Weiwei the one to pick up the Herald in the end, so correct answer here from V5. The problem is, this early in the game, trading a tower for the Rift Herald, not really going to be as effective as the threat onto Baron later.
Exactly, and the Rift Herald right now really just means a tower, right? Because we've got all those plates that are gone down. You will get a tower, but you've already lost one. JDG are already up one of those structures, so realistically it's just getting that goal back for V5. It's not accelerating the goal for V5, which is the difference here. JDG are waiting for Zoom, who's already got that Triforce completed. He'll be working up towards that Ravenous Hydra. Yagao is working towards that Lich Bane now as well, and then that's when JDG are going to become very strong.
So JDG, they're chilling right now. They're quite happy to just play this one slow. You can see LoKen, we talked about his items earlier. He's on the cusp of grabbing himself that black cleaver, and you'd expect the Muramana to finish leveling up at about a similar time, usually around the 20 to 22 minute mark. And up on the top side as well, Zoom, he's already got his Triforce, he's got himself the Tiamat, so that wave push is available. Once that Lich Bane is finished for Yagao, they're going to be massive. And now they're trying to make a play on the bottom side of the map. Herald going to be dropped elsewhere as Biubiu, obviously he has the Death Realm available, and I think JDG realized they can't force anything. This could be 2 towers in the top side if V5 want to commit.
Kanavi trying to trade up again, making a play on the bottom side. Biubiu does a good job to get away from that play. He's a Mordekaiser. He's going to be really good at getting away from it. So 2 towers now for V5 off this Rift Herald, and they want to make sure they get one last crash on this bottom side, but may not be able to do so.
Yeah, that ain't happening. Yagao just going to be able to play that one away in the end. As Mole going to try and finish off this mini-wave, realizes he can't overstay for this one because you see LvMao on that part of the minimap trying to move over.
A lot of this game is going to be on Mole. He's the one that's fed on V5, and we've seen him in previous series step up as the carry for Victory 5. On the Syndra as well, we know he is capable of making these plays happen, and we need to see it here again, because if JDG are given the opportunity to continue scaling, they're just going to run away with this. V5 with Weiwei and Mole need to be able to initiate these fights, particularly towards the likes of this next Ocean Dragon that's coming up, towards Baron, which is about to spawn, and forcing JDG into these uncomfortable positions where they're opting into 5v5s that they don't want to go towards.
I'm curious what Yagao is going to look like in the later stages of this game as well, because this time around, he's not going to have a million Cloud Salts, so he's not going to be able to ult every 15 seconds like he could in game number 1. So my question is, once he does finish this Lich Bane, once he gets towards things like Azonia's as well, how much impact is Yagao going to be able to have? Because if Mole is forced to ult onto this Ekko every fight, you know for a fact that JDG has the advantage.
The thing is, though, you have quite a lot of CC coming in on V5. So Yagao has to be very careful about how he enters into these fights, because between the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, stuns from Weiwei, and that CC from Mole as well, if you go in, you've got to be damn sure that none of that is up and available, because you can get CC'd and burst out, no problems, no issues whatsoever on V5 side. So this is why I expect JDG will just stick with what the game plan has been right now, which is either having Zoom and Yagao either are on opposite lanes, or they could even, if they really want to, when Baron comes up onto the cards, opt for like a 0-3-2 where Zoom and Yagao try to push in through this bottom lane and get a few more structures for themselves.
So Dragon up in 20 seconds here. We'll see if JDG are going to be able to actually contest, because let's bear in mind the win conditions that we've set up here. JDGs are not about team fighting right now. They're about trying to separate and split up the map. Yagao in a 1v1 against Biubiu at this point in the game. They're both just going to be fine. Yagao actually using a chrono break into the enemy team. I don't know if that was the play, my friend. Yagao now back into this Death Realm. He's going to be forced into the 1v1 and will be finished off as the rest of the fight is really kicking off. LvMao getting the stun on the backline, but he answers with his own life. Kanavi's going to fall. It's all gone wrong, but Yagao somehow survived. Hextech Ultimatum. Zonya's out off from Biubiu, who just about gets away, but a tactical sweep finishes it off now to Mole, as it's all on Zoom's shoulders. He's the last bastion for JDG, as LoKen flees for his life. 1v1 with Sam D, but it's a triple kill for the Ashe. And Zoom suddenly finds himself alone in the world. Stun comes through from Mole, and yet another fight for V5, yet another advantage.
Victory 5, pick up the team fight victory. Almost clean with only Biubiu falling, but this is what we said. V5 thrive in these 5 versus 5s. JDG want to avoid them at all costs, and it's going to be V5 who force JDG into these scraps, and now they can get the Dragon with all that extra gold going into their back pockets.
All we have talked about all game is that JDG don't want to go for these 5v5s. They want to scale up. What? Mole? What? I guess he was recalling in the brush. I think that's the only explanation, right? Kanavi finds a bonus. There you go. Nice one. He got a shutdown as well.
That's a pretty sizable bonus. I mean, it's onto a Lee Sin though, so it's not going to massively matter. But either way, I want to go back to your point of, look, V5 have now got this massive cash injection into them. You're looking at Infinity Edge being worked on for Sam D. Mole had gone for the Spellbinder, so looking towards more of this mid-game focus build. But he's still going to be incredibly strong when he does pop that Spellbinder and looking to burst people out. And you see in the bottom left corner, the replay of, yeah, recon in the bush, caught by Mole.
Just gets the one last auto attack down. So nicely done there by Kanavi. But as you rightly say, when we look at the items, it's very much in favor of V5 now. And it's starting to get to a point where JDG, if they do fall behind, it's going to be very difficult to force a split push strategy.
Exactly. And that's what I wanted to point out here, was that these split push strategies rely a lot on tempo, especially when you've got LvMao on this Pantheon. They wanted this Pantheon to try and join in with Zoom, join in yet with Yagao, as they're going for these 1-3-1 splits, at whatever way they wanted to try and work it out. Now that they're falling behind and V5 are able to push out waves, get these lanes back in control, if you have LvMao try and join in on either of these side lanes, you can have V5 just force a play through that mid lane, or you can even have them TP in and try and fight as well. So this is where it gets a little bit dicey for JDG. Though as I say that, Kanavi will be spotted out on this bottom side, but here's the force!
Why are you trying to make the plays onto the Mordekaiser? That's not where you need to be right now, because V5, this is the team that when they get a lead, they're gonna win the game.
And we just said, hey, they're going to be able to force these plays. If you try and make some sort of aggressive play on these side lanes, you've got ppgod on this Baron. The Tempered Fate sets up all of that. Now they get Baron, and Biubiu still defending these structures.
Yeah, I mean, Zoom's trying his best to get some kind of tier 2 in the bottom side, but that's not going to make a difference. Kanavi now, I mean, there's not even a way to make a Miracle Steal. He's going to be caught out. Magical Journey as well. Unleashed Power comes through as Mole. He's got a stopwatch, so he's going to be fine from the burst out of Kanavi. Dragon Rage available. He's slowed. He should be able to get out with his life at very least. But hey, Baron got taken in trade for a tier 2. That ain't worth it, JDG.
The tier 2 at least does allow some pressure from Zoom on towards inhibitors, but Yagao trying to pick off people. Sam D needs to be careful.
Good effort. I can appreciate that he did something. That's good, but wasn't enough. Unfortunate. But hey, Dagda, when we're talking about the win rates here for V5, when we're talking about how good they are at snowballing and how good they are from winning when they've got a lead, we could be looking at 3 games.
And look at this. The second you see Kanavi on that bottom side with Biubiu, V5 collapsed. And this is what we were saying just as we are literally talking about it, was V5's ability to start off these engagements, because you've got the Tempered Fate, is super strong. And if you overcommit with men on a side lane from JDG, you will be punished from V5. And as you're rightly pointing out, Munch, when you're looking at like an 85% win rate from V5 when they're ahead, it's through plays like this, through smart play is how they will beat JDG, and that's what they're doing right now.
And when we look at the items as well, on the side of JDG, it's not that different from the last time that we looked. On the other side of the board, Mole has 3 full items on top of his boots. Now with the Baron as well, V5 can just brute force this one. They're happy to 4-1. They're happy to 5v5. JDG, they don't really have an avenue to force any kind of advantage.
We said they need time. They need to get towards those 3 items. We're not even 4 items, but we're not at that point. And even now, because V5 are so far accelerated, you need even more before you can try and deal with Victory 5 right now. Even Weiwei keeping pressure on this bottom lane. Zoom can't control this wave anymore, and he'll be forced to back away. Or fear being dived by Victory 5, just leaning over towards this bottom side.
And they're going to take that bottom tier 2. In the meantime, they also take an inhibitor in the mid lane. So at least good respect here from JDG saying, look, we cannot fight for this. We cannot defend this inhib right now. Still 50 seconds on the Baron buff. V5 might be able to grab themselves too.
They're just going to try and force this last push, and then they will turn back towards that dragon that's about to spawn. JDG getting antsy though as their bottom lane turret goes down.
Oh, hang on. LoKen pulled into the Death Realm. Senna doesn't win that 1v1. Now the rest of the skirmish kicks off as the arrow goes in, and see you later, Zoom. This game might just be over, Dagda, as Sam D is free firing onto LvMao. He's blocking a lot of damage, but it's just not enough. Yagao gets stunned by the Scat of the Week, but there's no follow-up from the rest of the team. 2 inhibs fall. Yagao's on the back line, but he's completely alone in the world. He's going to try and find a play onto Sam D. Great flash on the Ashe. He gets the slow and he wants to chase. He's not going to be able to get the 1v1. It looked good, though. I'll give you that one, Sam D. We're going to game 3, Dagda. JDG have been outdone.
And I could not be happier about a game number 3.